Kaahumanu today. This past Monday was her birthday, and she certainly changed the tide. And I often wonder what she would be thinking if she was here with us today. So perhaps we can think of ourselves as we look to do business through Kahumanu's lens. This meeting can be viewed via live stream on OHA's website at www.oha.org/livestream. If you would like to testify on any agenda item during this Zoom meeting, please raise your hand when that subject is announced. When called upon, please unmute your mic. We'll be given the ability to turn your camera on during your testimony. When you're done, please mute your mic. We are recording today's meeting for the sole purpose of producing written minutes, which will become the official record of this meeting, in order to eliminate any background noise which can affect the quality of the sound on OHA's live stream and making it difficult to hear the speaker. Please mute your devices, microphones, until you are called on to speak. At the prompting of the chair, BAE staff will do a roll call to determine quorum at the beginning of every meeting. 5 board members present in person and virtually constitutes a quorum. Roll call votes will also be called to determine the board's position on committee matters. A simple majority of committee members present will constitute the position of any matters that require a vote of its members. Trustees who are joining us by Zoom, please enable your cameras for the duration of the meeting if you are able to do so. All other OHA staffers, please enable your cameras when you need to address the committee members. If you would like to speak, please raise your hand. When recognized by the committee chair, please proceed to speak. Lower your hand and mute your mic when you are done. And for those trustees joining us this remote meeting, do we have anybody remote today? No. Please state your name of any person 18 years of age or older who is present with you at your location. Trustees, if you need to leave, please inform the chair by announcing that you are leaving the meeting. Okay? Let's get down to business. Okay, the March 5th, 2025 meeting of the Committee on Beneficiary Advocacy and Empowerment is being called to order. The time is now 10 minutes past 9. Leanne, please call the roll for attendance.
Trustee Yohuna is excused. Trustee Akaka.
Oh,
Eo.
call away.
Trustee Akina.
Aloha mai kako.
Trustee Alapa is running late. Trustee Kahele. Trustee Lindsay. Trustee Souza. Trustee Waihe'e is running late. And Chair Galuteria.
All right.
6 present.
Okay.
We have a quorum.
Joining us, well, first of all, to everyone in our viewing audience, welcome to the Beneficiary Advocacy and Empowerment Committee meeting. And thank you for joining us for this critical work that lies at the core of the Office of Hawaiian Affairs mission to uplift Kanaka. Joining us today is OHA's CEO, Stacey Ferreira, along with some of her administrative staff. I'd like to call on CEO Ferreira to introduce those staff members joining us today. Stacey.
Mahalo, Chair. Aloha kakahiaka kako. Chair, Vice Chair, and trustees joining us online and in person today. We have our Chief Operating Officer, Kehau Pu'u, Chief Financial Officer, Ramona Hink, Endowment Director, Ryan Lee, Interim Corporation Counsel, Everett Ota, Interim Senior Legal Counsel, Nichi Ozawa, Senior Director of Hawaiian Cultural Affairs, Hailama Farden, Director of Advocacy, Lena Alale, our Solutions Delivery Technician, Kelsey Wade, Director of Communications, Bill Brennan, and Interim Information Technology Manager, Kevin Cha. Mahalo.
Mahalo. Oh, and by the way, the chair just wants to recognize the good coverage that OHA, we supported the 50th anniversary of Hokulea. And I saw how much support we gave. So Bill, thank you for that. Yeah. Okay, now let's move to the next item on the agenda, the approval of the minutes. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the February 5th, 2025 Committee on Beneficiary Advocacy and Empowerment meeting.
I move that we approve the February 5th, 2024 minutes.
It's been moved by trustee Aquina and second by trustee Souza. Okay, any discussion on this matter, members? Seeing none. Hey, can we just get an aye or we got a roll call? Okay, can I have a roll call vote, please, Leanne?
Trustee Ahuna is excused. Trustee Akaka?
Aye.
Trustee Aquino?
Aye.
Trustee Alapa is running late. Trustee Kahele? Trustee Lindsay? Trustee Souza? Trustee Whitehead is running late. And Trustee Galataria, Chair Galataria.
Aye.
6
Okay,
yes
mahalo,
votes.
mahalo, members. I'd like to review our public policy guidelines. Firstly, public testimony should be limited to matters listed on today's meeting agenda. If issues are raised about items not on the agenda, you will be called out of order, and I will direct you to limit your testimony to the item currently being considered on the agenda. Number two, your name will be called and your microphone will be unmuted when it's your turn to testify. If you're not audible when called upon, you will be muted and the next testifier will be called. You will state your name, organization, if applicable, agenda item you'll be speaking on. Oral testimony will be limited to 5 minutes. A timer will be on the screen to count down 5 minutes. Your mic will automatically be muted once you've completed your oral testimony or your allotted time for testimony expires. Now let's proceed to new business. If we can ask Lena Allah to come and join us up here at the table. We are going to be going over the matrices and whatever is consistent with our legislative practice. So at this time, before Lei settles in, I'd like to ask our Kapohana to give us some news on the package, some good news.
Mahalo, Chair. Yes, very good news. HB 410, OHA's budget bill has passed its third committee. It went to the Senate Hawaiian Judiciary Committee and it was passed unamended. So that's excellent news. This is our third committee. It's next on its way to Ways and Means. The second bill is SB 268, and that's our Island Burial Council bill, which basically is asking to do a recomposition of the burial councils, and it passed its third committee. So that was at the House Waterland, and it's now moving on to the Hawaiian Affairs Committee on the House side. So both bills continue to move.
Good. Sounds good. We are into the 64th day of the calendar, everybody, with about 44 days left. And March 2nd is the second lateral. And now I'd like to proceed by acknowledging Elena Alalei, who's been taking the slings and arrows down there at the Capitol on our behalf. Mahalo nui loa. We're going to start taking a look at the matrices that everybody's been given. Lei?
Good morning, trustees. So, did you cover matrix 1? We can start with matrix 2. Okay, so we have on matrix 1, I think everyone knows the Kakako Makai bill had previously died. And then with the Public Land Trust Working Group, it is not going to make the second lateral filing deadline that is on Thursday. So there's that vehicle for our audit and inventory funding is not alive, but we have at this point SB 903, which was originally the master settlement, was replaced in Hawaiian Affairs Committee with the language of HB 1358. So that is the existing vehicle for funding for the audit and inventory.
So there is something moving for the PLTWG.
It didn't start out that way, but it currently has our audit and inventory funding in it.
Okay, Kapohana.
Yeah, I'd like Lei to share with trustees exactly what language was put into the short form bill so that they have a sense of what language we had in our original bill and how that has been ported over to the short form.
So it's pretty much a cut and replace. So it is the language of our bill.
So basically, our language calls out that we are requesting that the PLT working group remain.
Correct.
And we are also, the language also specifies that we are requesting an appropriation for the inventory. Is that correct?
Yes, it's our $1 million request for funding for the audit inventory. And that the PLT working group stay active and alive so that it can be the body that reviews the audit and inventory.
What side is it on?
The House side now,
It's on the House side now.
yes.
And Nadine Nakamura has all of the information that she needs, because she asked for scope of work and, yeah. Okay,
So Chair and trustees, it will be going to finance next. So there's some work to do to ensure that that language remains.
yeah, okay. I know that trustee, our Chair Emeritus is leading the charge on this. Is there anything that you'd like to share or add about this? Because we're just in the waiting period right now.
I'd like to see the finance chair, as he is my personal representative in Maui. So hopefully he'll be amicable about our request.
Kapuana?
So we will work with trustee, Chair Emerita, trustee Lindsay, to make sure that we come up with a action plan for how we will utilize the next couple of weeks before it gets a hearing.
Okay, well, we're looking forward to hearing about that conversation. Let us know how it went, please.
And just to clarify, sorry, it doesn't actually have an appropriation right now. So we need to, continue to advocate for the 1 million.
So that's a work in progress we're talking about. Yeah,
Yes.
yep. Trustee Kelly?
Mahalo, Chair. I'd also add, and I think you had referenced it in a question, Lena Ala, is we don't need any bill to fund the Public Land Trust Working Group. This can be done in the budget. If you look at Section 2 of the bill, it's like 8 lines. The House Finance and WAM Chair can insert the appropriation, proviso the language, and it's just as good as a bill. So another option is to also look at that over the next, month or so. We don't need a bill to get this accomplished.
Correct. And we've had indications from senators that that would also be an appropriate route.
Okay, well, let's see how far we can take it. Yeah, and then we do have the option of absorbing the costs ourselves, right, Chair?
Yeah, also I'd add, CO, wasn't it our understanding that this was also a partnership with the executive branch, that the governor was supportive? So if there's cost share, I guess, in the appropriation, then that's something maybe we should be engaging the governor's office on, to make sure when we go to conference on the bill, the budget bill, that maybe there's a last play there at the end.
Thank you, Chair. I thank you for bringing that up. At our last PLT working group meeting, Chair Emerita Lindsay did ask Luis Salaveria, Director of Budget and Finance, about that GM, and we were told that it's not going to be coming down. So I think now as this bill, our PLT working group bill has died, and he was very supportive of that. I think this may be an opportunity to re-up that conversation with the governor to see if he would be willing now to put it in as a GM again, because the short form bill does not have an appropriation. So I think that would be part of our follow-up plan. I think that's a good idea to have a conversation with the governor.
Okay, are we clear on that one? Yeah, Trustee Akaga.
Mahalo. Lena Ala, can you elaborate more on what happened with the Kaka'ako bill?
Sure. I don't know if I'm the best one to answer that question, but basically its last hearing, the committee chairs, it was a joint hearing of several committees, and the committee chairs had different language that they would have liked to have seen inserted in the bill. And because the committee chairs disagreed among themselves as to the language that should be advanced, they deferred the bill.
That's it? Okay. Well, there's the board is gonna take that matter up, I think, well, one day, soon enough, and maybe an executive session. But we'll see how it goes. Okay, so that's POW for this year then. Yeah? We live to fight another day for that.
Yeah, and there were some interesting proposals and discussions.
Can you share some of what Carl Rhodes had shared that day in terms of how they came to that decision?
I don't remember Rhodes sharing anything specific.
So basically, he said that they were not able to get concurrence from the Waterland Committee Chair to move on the amendments that were proposed. And it was a last-minute amendment that was proposed. So if you remember, it was a triple, right? It was
Yes.
housing, Waterland, and Hawaiian Judiciary.
And a
So-
lot of different added language that
Correct.
was recommended that they couldn't come to a.
So Chair Waterland did agree to, at the hearing that was broadcasted, she did agree to that amended language, but there was amended language after that.
Right.
And she did not agree to
And
that.
their view on HCDA in general as well.
That was not made public in terms of a statement of any kind. He just said that he wasn't able to get prior concurrence.
Right.
Okay? All right. Okay, then let's move on. Well, there is no,
Chair Galatario,
wait, hold on.
we do have one testifier.
Kalamai, was there any testifiers on Matrix 1?
Yes, Jermaine Myers.
Oh, Jermaine. Okay, is Jermaine on? Jermaine, are you there?
Aloha, Chair. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Please proceed.
Okay. I'm actually testifying on Matrix 2, which I've been listening and I hear that you've been talking on Matrix 2. Is that okay to speak about Matrix 2?
We're on Matrix 1. We're just coming into Matrix 2, so hold on a second.
Okay.
Okay, just stand by.
I thought I just heard you talk about SB 903. That's Matrix 2? No?
Really?
Yes, it's listed on Matrix 2, but we discussed
Okay.
it in the context of that's the new vehicle or one of the options for a vehicle for our PLT working group funding.
Okay, very good. Now we can proceed with, Jermaine, why don't you proceed? We're on Matrix 2 right now.
Mahalo, Chair. Aloha, my name is Jermaine Myers. I'm an OHA beneficiary for Beneficiary Advocacy and Empowerment. I'm also a Nanakuli Hawaiian Homestead lessee. In regards to SB 903, which I heard the conversation, so I modified my testimony. I thank administration. Mahalo nui. The House JHA Judiciary and Hawaiian Affairs Committee had a hearing last week on March 14 at 2 p.m. and OHA submitted testimony in opposition of the Global Settlement Working Group. I read the House Standing Committee report from the JHA chair, which stated, your committee received testimony in opposition to this measure from the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. Your committee finds that HB number 1358 HD3 regular sessions 2025 was previously passed by the House. Your committee has amended this measure by 1, deleting its contents and inserting the contents of HB number 1358 HD3, a measure that appropriates funds to the Office of Hawaiian Affairs for the hiring of necessary staff and the purchase of equipment and professional services on behalf of the Public Land Trust Working Group. That is what I'm so happy to have saw that in the Standing Committee report. I looked at the verbiage of the amendment HD1 to SB 903, and it did completely change the bill in order to strike out everything related to the Global Settlement Working Group, etc. Tomorrow is actually the deadline for double referrals. And so this bill is double referral JHA and finance. So I heard the discussion on engaging the governor to insert a GM in order to have the million appropriation for the working group for House Bill 1358 as it was recommended to add $1 million. I do want to ask or suggest that in the discussions about the global settlement, I agree with Trustee Akaka, where she had made a comment in a previous meeting, a BAE meeting, and I quote, Trustee Akaka asked the policy team to consider using Native Hawaiian crown and government lands rather than using the term public lands. And I think that using that verbiage, Native Hawaiian crown and government lands, puts an exclamation mark on the fact that these were Native Hawaiian lands by the Kingdom of Hawaii, and that it's to be the profits from, quote, public land trust revenue is to be in perpetuity because you're borrowing our lands, you're occupying our lands or our Kingdom of Hawaii lands. And so I agree that somehow, some way, OHA should start inserting that language, Native Hawaiian crown and government lands, within its testimonies to highlight and for future policy advocacy team members to be always aware that the global settlement, unless the state of Hawaii stops occupying the Native Hawaiian crown and government lands, that they should always direct revenues to the Native Hawaiian Trust, which is right now in the hands of OHA. Kea kuapu, God bless all of you.
Mahalo, Jermaine. Leanne, any other testifiers on this matrix?
No other testifiers.
Okay, before we move on with this item, I'd like to ask for a motion to adopt the approval of staff's recommendations for positions on bills affecting the bills naming OHA as reflected in Matrix 2. Do I have a motion? So moved by Trustee Souza. Second, please.
Second.
Trustee Waihe'e. Any other discussion, members? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Trustee Ahuna is excused. Trustee Akaka.
Aye.
Trustee Akina.
Aye.
Trustee Alapa is running late. Trustee Kahele. Trustee Lindsay. Trustee Souza. Trustee Waihe'e.
Yes.
Chair Galutaria.
Aye.
7 yes votes. Motion passes.
Mahalo, members. Okay, let's move to Matrix 3. Leanne, are there any testifiers on this matrix?
There are no testifiers on this message.
Okay, before we move to lay, I'm going to ask for a motion to adopt the approval of staff's recommendations for positions on bills affecting the public land trust as reflected in Matrix 3. Motion, please.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Yes. Okay, now we can discuss. Leanne? I mean, Lay, Nala? Matrix 3.
So there's just two bills that have any change of position or new. They're on page 2. So I'm happy to answer questions. The new one is a non-resident fee for state parks. And because state parks are clearly public land trusts, our comment would be that just to ensure that OHA's 20% is included in that fee.
Okay. Members, any questions? No? Seeing none. Trustee Akaka.
Just to check for SB 739 there, what's the latest on that one?
Sure, that's the land exchange bill for agricultural lands, for TOD lands. So we have been providing similar comments on that one, simply to, and they actually added language so that if private lands are exchanged for public lands, they acquire the public land character of the exchange land so that it doesn't diminish the ceded land space. So we have had that successfully inserted, but we're continuing to submit testimony to make sure that stays in there. And we are still asking that it still be subject to 171.67.4, which is the statutory provision that came out of our OHA v. HCDA lawsuit that requires 2/3 approval of the legislature before any alienation of the ceded land space, but that second recommendation has not been adopted yet.
And then also to be in consultation with the office, and then also to be in consultation with the Office of Foreign Affairs.
We have not requested that in the past, if that's a
Mhm.
suggestion that's being made.
I do believe that whenever it comes to our Native Hawaiian Crown and government lands, the Office of Hawaiian Affairs should always be in consultation, as it would be in alignment with the law, as well as the practice, given that these are our lands.
Mhm.
And that the state, county, whomever are on these lands, that they are in accordance with that. So I think we need to constantly give them a friendly reminder.
Yeah, I hadn't, I mean, I'm happy for the trustees to discuss that. I hadn't seen that in prior positions that OHA has taken with respect to the ceded lands. I have seen, I think it's in the board policy that it requires that we, ensure that 17167.4 is a guide, or a guardrail on any decisions about land alienation. I hadn't seen anything about requesting OHA consultation, but I'm happy to include that if the BOT
Okay.
would like
If you
to.
find an opportunity, let's move on it.
Okay.
Okay,
Mahalo.
all right. Any other comments about matrix 3? No, seeing none? Okay, we have a motion, yeah, to adopt recommendations affecting public land trust as reflected in matrix 3. Let's roll call.
Trustee Ahuna is excused. Trustee Akaka.
Aye.
Trustee Akina. Trustee Alapa is running late. Trustee Kahele. Trustee Lindsay. Trustee Souza. Trustee Wahehe.
Yes.
Chair Galataria. You have 7 yes votes. Motion passes.
Practices. Do we have any testifiers on this particular matrix? None. Let's move forward with the adoption of a motion. Okay, this is for matrix 4. Approval of staff's recommendations for position on bills affecting natural resources in Native Hawaiian traditional and customary practices. Okay. So, Mr. Chairman. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Mahalo nui loa. Okay, Leonel. Matrix 4.
So the changes begin on page 2. If there's any questions, I think a few of these are incorrectly highlighted as new, to be honest. I think some of these were previously voted for by the Board of Trustees. Sure. I was just saying, I think there's a few of these that were already voted on by the BOT. But I'm not sure which all of them are. And then some others, the reason there's so many new ones, for example, HB 306 at the top of page 3, the board had previously supported a similar bill that died. And so now we're supporting kind of what is the second best bill. So that's just for the BOT's background as to the large number of new bills following crossover is just that if a certain vehicle dies, but there's a appropriate substitute, then we'll, switch our support or opposition to that bill.
Proceed with the vote.
Trustee Ahuna is excused. Trustee Akaka.
Aye.
Trustee Akina.
Aye.
Trustee Alapa is late. Trustee Kahele. Trustee Lindsay. Trustee Souza. Trustee Wahehe.
Yes.
Chair Galataria.
Aye.
Motion passes 7 votes.
Mahalo, members. Okay, let's move on to matrix 5, which is OHA's position on bills affected Native Hawaiian housing. Are there any testifiers, Leanne?
There are no testifiers at this time.
Pardon me? None? Okay, then I need a motion, to approve the staff's recommendations for the bills affecting Native Hawaiian housing as reflected in Matrix 5. Members?
Second.
Thank you. Trustee Souza, second trustee Waihehe. Okay, Leonala, please proceed.
So the highlighted bills begin on page 1, but I apologize. I think we actually voted on Matrix 5 last time, so I don't think these necessarily all reflect new bills. Some of them may have been bills that the board previously voted on.
No changes.
Yes, because we voted on it last time.
No, we voted on it. Okay, any discussion, members?
Yes.
Trustee Akaka.
Mahalo. And Lena Ala, just to double check, so all of the bills that would name the Department of Hawaiian Homelands would be included on these?
Yes, any of the
circular
ones that we're
matrix?
commenting or opposing would be on this matrix.
Mahalo.
Any other discussion, members? Seeing none, roll call. Leanne?
Trustee Ahuna is excused. Trustee Akaka.
Aye.
Trustee Akina.
Aye.
Trustee Lopez late. Trustee Kahele. Trustee Lindsay. Trustee Souza. Trustee Waihehe.
Yes.
Chair Galutaria.
Aye.
7 yes votes. You have
Okay, let's proceed with OHA's positions on bills affecting Native Hawaiian health. Matrix 6. Leanne, any testifiers?
no testifiers.
Okay, mahalo. A motion, members, to approve the staff's recommendations for position on bills affecting Native Hawaiian health as reflected in Matrix 6. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Trustee Souza, mahalo. Trustee Waihehe, mahalo for the second. Okay, Lei, please proceed.
So the new or change position bills start on page 4, or yes, page 4. But although we did vote on this one last time, these are new bills that we've added since that time.
No changes.
No, these are, the highlighted ones are new. The yellow highlights are new bills.
You want to go through it? Or
I'll answer any questions.
any questions, members? No? Give you a moment. No questions? Okay, okay. Trustee Akaka. Okay, seeing none, roll call.
Trustee Ahuna is excused. Trustee Akaka.
Aye.
Trustee Akina.
Aye.
Trustee Lopez running late. Trustee Kahele. Trustee Lindsay. Trustee Souza. Trustee Waihehe.
Yes.
Chair Galutaria.
Aye.
7 yes votes.
Mahalo, members. Kapuana, did you want to mention something or we'll wait until after we get through the?
Yeah, I'll wait
matrices?
for announcements. Mahalo.
Okay, let's continue on. We are at Matrix 7. OHA position on bills affecting Native Hawaiian education. Leanne, any testifiers?
No testifiers.
Okay, let's formalize this by adopting a motion to approve the staff's recommendations for position on bills affecting Native Hawaiian education as reflected in Matrix 7. Members, motion?
Awesome. So, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, moved by trustee Waihehe, second by trustee Souza. Okay, Leonala, please proceed.
This matrix just has a few changes on page 2, if there's any questions.
Members, questions? Matrix 7. Okay, seeing none. Okay, roll call there.
Trustee Ahuna is excused. Trustee Akaka.
Aye.
Trustee Akaka, did you say yes? Thank you. Trustee Akina.
Aye.
Trustee Lopez late. Trustee Kahele. Trustee Lindsay. Trustee Souza. Trustee Waihehe.
Yes.
Chair Galutaria.
Aye,
7 yes votes.
very good. Okay, let's continue on to Matrix 8, right? We're moving at a brisk clip here. Appreciate it. Okay, we need we're going to be discussing OHA position on bills affecting Native Hawaiian economic development, Matrix 8. Leanne, any testifiers?
No testifiers at this time.
Testifiers, okay, mahalo. Okay, we'll need a motion, members, to approve the staff's recommendation for position on bills affecting Native Hawaiian economic development as reflected in Matrix 8. So move. Mahalo.
Second.
Second by Trustee Wahe, moved by Trustee Souza, yeah? Okay, Leonala, please proceed.
So this matrix correctly reflects the two bills that are alive. It does not reflect all the bills that are dead. There were more bills on Matrix 8 that are no longer alive, but they're not reflected in it.
The ones that are still moving, is there a discussion here? Or
No, those are ones that are previously approved.
hasn't changed?
The approved bills, no.
Yeah, the approved bills. Okay, members, any discussion on this matrix? No? None? Okay, seeing none, roll call, please. Okay,
Trustee Ahuna is excused. Trustee Akaka.
Aye.
Trustee Akina.
Aye.
Trustee Lapa is running late. Trustee Kahele. Trustee Lindsay. Trustee Souza. Trustee Wahehe.
Yes.
Chair Galataria.
aye.
7 yes votes.
Mahalo, members. Okay, let's move to our next matrix, which is OHA's position on bills affecting HRS Chapter 6E, EV Kupuna. Leanne, any testifiers?
No testifiers at this time.
Testifiers? Okay, members, a motion to adopt the approval of staff's recommendations for position on bills affecting HRS Chapter 6E, EV Kupuna as reflected in Matrix 9. Do I have a motion? So move, okay. Chair Emeritus moved, along with Trustees Souza second. Okay, Lena, please proceed with any discussion.
Sure, I'm happy to answer any questions. There were a few bills that we downgraded to monitor. Those are highlighted in blue, and they were simply because they weren't having the effect that we were concerned that they would have.
Mhm.
And then the new highlights are for the resolutions that, or the ones for the approval of our nominees to the Island Burial Councils. And those, because those were actually already approved by the board, we did go ahead and submit comments in support of our nominees if it came before the legislature, because it had already been approved by the board that these were our nominees. So we did submit testimony supporting all of our nominees when it came before the board.
Any questions? You know, I appreciated the spirited dialogue at the committee, and you did very well, Kapuana. Is there anything you'd like to share with us about that particular exchange?
You know, I wanted to make sure that our legislators know that this is not a Hawaiian against Hawaiian issue, that there's a lot of aloha across our Hawaiian communities for our malama preservation protection of iwi kupuna. And, you know, our position is really coming from a place of the original intent of the formation of the Burial Council Bill, which is it was formed to have lineal descendants and cultural practitioners decide on the proper preservation and protection on burial treatment plans and the identification and recognition of lineal descendants of that moku. And that the insertion of landowners and large developers was a last minute concession to get that bill passed. And so, you know, I think the intention in what OHA is putting forward in this bill is pono. And again, is in alignment with not only our Mana'i Mauliola strategic outcomes in preservation and protection of iwi kupuna, but also the board's priority in iwi protection. And so we're going to continue to stand on our current arguments that this is a lineal descendant and cultural practitioner decision. and that we still encourage landowners and large developers to engage in robust discourse as a member of the community versus as a voting member on the council. So
Trustee Akaka.
Mahalo for doing that on our behalf. I want to know who had recommended that concession to include the developers.
So in a conversation that I had with Halil Aloha Ayau, who was one of the originating authors of the Burial Council legislation, it was also Daviana McGregor and Kalama, I don't remember the third author's name, but in his account to me, there was a legislator who pushed for that landowner and developer language to be inserted.
Did they elaborate as to why? We can guess, but like the reasoning.
Because they wanted to ensure that landowner and developer interests were also considered in discussions and in burial treatment plans. I mean, obviously, you know, what the Burial Council puts forward in terms of a burial treatment plan may delay or stop. And, you know, and for landowners and developers, that's money,
Mhm.
time.
Mhm.
But, you know, our argument to that is that they have the 6E process, right? So they have their attorneys, they have their archaeologists, they have their cultural monitor. I mean, they have a process in which, and they have rights. This is the one opportunity that Kanaka have to have a voice in how their family members are protected.
Mhm.
And so we are asking that the landowners and the developers come from a place of understanding that this is the one Kanaka opportunity to have voice, and that they would respectfully step back from that, but still, again, come to the meetings, provide their mana'o, their ike, and resources, intel that they may have, that their having a vote does not preclude them from still engaging in a very meaningful and significant way. Where OHA's position is that the decision-making really should be with those lineal descendants and the cultural practitioners. And I want to also add that I have committed OHA's resources. You know, Kamakana Ferreira has been essential and critical in many of the review, and Kai Markel, in providing reviews, very complex reports. So, you know, we want to continue in that way. We had a meeting yesterday with Shipti, and I also want to say that, you know, with Shipti's current administration, with Jessica Puff and Kea Kalpito, we have a very positive working relationship with them, and we are going to continue to cultivate that relationship, because I think it's kuleana that we have as OHA to surround our burial councils to ensure that they have the resources to be successful. You know, our lineal descendants and our cultural practitioners may not have the legal backgrounds, may not have the technical expertise that, say, Kamakana and Kai have. And then we also want to provide them with training, right? So we're going to partner with Shipti to ensure that they're getting properly trained so that they feel that they can be successful, that they can make informed decisions, and they can run successful meetings. Because they're also beholden to sunshine law. And so, you know, even organizations struggle with always getting it right when it comes to sunshine law. So I think it behooves us that if our burial councils feel supported and that we can provide them the resources that we have internally. And I encourage our Ali'i Trust too, because they have a lot of resources and ike around cultural practice, that they also would come forward and support the burial council so that they can be successful. They've been neglected for a very long time. And Chair Galutaire, you serve on the Oahu Council, so you know that the issues that have plagued the burial councils. I will also add that I have asked Lei to, her and Kamakana, to draft a letter to the Attorney General's office that I will be sending on behalf of the Office of Hawaiian Affairs, to ask them to basically outline what their responsibilities are to the burial councils, because the burial councils need to have a high level of engagement from the Attorney General so that the decision-making is based off of sound legal advice, and we need the Attorney General's office to be engaged.
You know, by and large, the Attorney General is absent from class a lot,
Exactly.
which,
Should be required.
yeah, it's not required. They call in sick.
So
And when
that's,
we needed to get, legal opinion, it wasn't available. So we had all of these families waiting on decisions.
correct.
So we have to be clearly engaged, number one. Number two,
Should require the AG to be
So that's why
there.
the letter will be
Yeah.
going out,
Okay.
trustees, so that we,
you know what's important too is
Get
this
them on
whole
record.
thing about if we're gonna move, if it's gonna become Arculiana, the funding should follow. So however we're gonna, inherit this, if we do, let's make sure that, we don't pick up the entire tab. I mean, it's gonna be important for us to be, if we're gonna take the lead, and Shifty is gonna be a partner, well, there's gonna have to be some funding that moves over to Office of Hawaiian Affairs too.
I might add, in the 3 committees that this has passed through, not one landowner or developer has showed up to testify in opposition, nor have they submitted written testimony. Now, that may change going into this last committee, because I don't think they thought it was going to get this far. And so I anticipate that there's going to be opposition. And so OHA will continue to stand on our position, and we will follow more.
Okay? Now, Trustee Akaka?
Going back to the concession asked by the legislator, was it asked specifically to have developers have a voting right? That was,
Yeah, so it's 2 seats with voting, right. And I might add that the landowners and developers may also serve as chair, vice chair.
mm-mm.
No, in its current composition, which is very precarious when you think about who sets the agenda.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's also very problematic.
Okay, anything else?
Yeah.
Any other discussion, members? Okay, seeing, pardon me? Yeah, for the matrix.
For HB 1263, I know we have talked about this before, but can you folks highlight more on this part that says, when they use the terminology low risk?
So that's a new proposal that's come out of the legislature this year, which is to help to address SHPD's backlog
Yeah.
by doing programmatic assessments and identifying high, medium, and low risk areas, which is of concern, but we have submitted testimony, and then the last hearing, which was before housing, they inserted our amendment to have OHA and also the IBCs as consulting parties on the process for identifying risk areas. And so Kamakana and I have discussed this with Jessica at SHPD, and we think that when done well, it actually would help SHPD expedite some of its review and also put landowners on notice when they are in high risk areas, so that they know that the costs of having to do an AIS are coming down the road. So it takes out some of the element of uncertainty that is what generates a lot of the opposition to the 6E process. So we think that there's still parts of the bill that we're concerned about, which is why we are comments. But we are also working with SHPD and in our testimony to make it, to mitigate the worst potential effects, and having OHA as a consulting party is a really good safeguard. And we're hopeful actually that these programmatic assessments can be useful. There's other parts of the bill, like the timelines, that we're still trying to be sure the language is appropriate and doesn't force SHPD's hand.
Is there a process, or do we, if there is a process in place regarding their definition or their determination of low risk, are we in agreement of that?
Well, that's what the process is for, that we've obtained in the bill, at least consulting party status on, is the whole process for how do you do that risk assessment. And Kamakana is very familiar with how the military, they actually, when they do their Section 106 review, they have such a classification system to help focus research and attention. And so the, in our mind, the goal would be to have that kind of best practice model that the military has implemented that looks at like what are the soils, past prior history, kama'aina testimony, all these things. So that was what was missing out of the bill. It was kind of just a book research-based assessment, but now with OHA and the IBCs as consulting parties, it'll be able to bring in, you know, more community kama'aina knowledge about what are the risk areas.
So would you say that's a pretty thorough process, that the military process, what they have going on and as the model?
Yeah, my understanding from our compliance experts is yes, and that is what we hope to bring to the table and ensure by having consulting party status, is that it is a, you know, a best practice way of doing such a risk assessment.
Mahalo.
Mahalo. Okay, mahalo nui loa. Thank you very much, Leina,
Mahalo.
for your work. Before we do call for adjournment of this meeting, is there anything that oh, yeah, we got to vote on that, yeah. Kalamai. Okay, we have a motion on the table to approve the staff's recommendations for on bills affecting HRS Chapter 6. Iwi kupuna is reflected in Matrix 9. Okay, no other discussion. Lei, you got to vote. Roll call.
Trustee Ahuna is excused. Trustee Akaka?
Aye.
Trustee Akina?
Aye.
Trustee Alapa? Trustee Kahele? Trustee Lindsay? Trustee Souza? Trustee Wahehe?
Yes.
Chair Galutario?
Aye.
8 yes votes.
Mahalo, everybody. Now, is there anything anybody would, oh, okay. Kapuana announcements or
Yes, please.
community concerns, celebrations, whatever?
Yeah, I just want, I wanted to mention for Matrix 2, because we're in the resolution aspect of the session, I've asked that our policy team put into the description columns the resource request from these resolutions for OHA. So that should be part of trustees' decision-making. So in addition to the topic of the resolution, I'd also like trustees to look at what resources are being requested of OHA. And although, you know, there's no force and effect of law, many, you know, these will come to the agency. And so I would like that as part of the decision-making process on what is being requested of us.
Very good.
All right.
Yeah. Trustee Akaka?
Mahalo. I think that's a good idea, and I think that anything when at any point that we have these matrices, that we always include what is asked or expected of the Office of Hawaiian Affairs, so that we have a clear understanding, so that we can vote confidently and know how to navigate through these
Yes. Yes.
asks of us.
Agreed.
Okay.
And then lastly,
Oh, there's
I
more?
wanted to, I
Okay.
have some great news.
So
I
one
wanted
more
to,
thing. I'm also thinking as well that if they are asking OHA to not be a part of things, that should be highlighted as well, so that we can be made aware of it, so that we can either support or not support that. Mahalo.
So all of the ones on Matrix 2 are ones that name OHA. And I apologize, this was the first, you know, all the resolutions got introduced 1 or 2 weeks ago, and so we hadn't downloaded it before, and it's different from how the bills download automatically with the description. But these all are OHA named, and our positions are based on, you know, our capability to fulfill it. But I agree with Kapuana that we need the description in the future.
Okay, very good. One last thing?
so I just wanted to announce to the board that the Hawaii Women's Lawyer 2024 awards have been shared, and our very own Leina Alale is being recognized as Distinguished Service Awardee. And this is for her litigation work for Navahin versus DOT climate change case. So congratulations to Leina Alale.
Mahalo.
That's it? Oh,
That's it.
I like ending on a high note like that. Fantastic. Trustees, anything else that we'd like to add to the table? No? Okay, seeing none, I'd like a motion to adjourn the March 19th, 2025 meeting of the Committee on Beneficiary Advocacy and Empowerment
So moved.
meeting.
So moved.
Okay, moved by Trustee Akaka, second by Trustee Souza. Okay. All right, any discussion on this matter? I don't think so, I guess. No? Okay, roll call.
Trustee Ahuna is excused. Trustee Akaka?
Aye.
Trustee Akina?
Aye.
Trustee Alapa? Trustee Kahele? Trustee Lindsay? Trustee Souza, Trustee Wahehe,
Yes.
Chair Galutario.
Aye.
8 yes votes. Meeting is
Okay.
adjourned.
Mahalo, everybody. This meeting is adjourned at 10:02.